Have you ever wondered what really happened after those epic Viking battles? When the dust settled and the cheers faded? It wasn't glory for everyone, especially not for the women left behind. Picture this: warriors gone, homes in ruins, and raiders turning their gaze to the survivors. What followed wasn't just survival. It was a calculated nightmare that turned people into prophets. Stick around as we uncover the layers of this forgotten terror. Piece by piece, right after the clash, the real work began for the Vikings. They swept through villages like shadows, rounding up anyone who could fetch a price. But the women, they got special attention. Officers, seasoned in this grim trade, lined them up for inspection. Teeth checked for durability, arms tested for work potential, features scanned for appeal that could drive up bids in far-off ports. Young ones with kids in tow stood out. Their ability to bear more made them gold. All this unfolded while families watched, helpless, the air thick with dread. No chaos here. It was precise, like sorting treasure. And just like that, names vanished, replaced by codes in scribbled notes. But the worst was yet to come, as these women stepped into a world designed to crush them, chained in lines that stretched like serpents across rough lands. The march to the harbors dragged on for days. Iron collars bit into skin, linked just enough to shuffle forward, but never flee. Craftsmen had perfected these bonds, strong yet sparing the goods from too much harm. Guards, experts in handling despair, doled out scraps of bread and water, barely sufficient to stagger on, never enough to fight back. Stumbles meant abandonment. Defiance brought swift lessons in pain, etched with hot tools or worse. They split up kin on purpose, silencing tongues in shared languages to snuff out any spark of unity. Waypoints dotted the paths, not for rest, but to tweak the chains and push onward. Whispers of escape ended in displays that haunted the group. Yet, as land gave way to waves, a new kind of hell awaited on the water. Packed into ship bellies meant for cargo, not souls, the voyage turned weeks into eternity. Wooden barriers crammed them tight, air stale with sickness and fear. Crews adapted the vessels with grim ingenuity, hooks for securing, minimal vents to fend off total loss. Rations favored the promising, a bit more for the fertile or fair, scraps for the rest. Storms tossed them like leaves, bruising bones against planks, while illness claimed the weak. Their forms slipped overboard without ceremony. Guards patrolled for signs of giving up, knowing each loss cut into earnings. Hope dangled like bait. Behave, and maybe the end wouldn't be so bad. But as shores appeared, the markets loomed, ready to seal their paths. Touching down in hubs like Dublin's bustling docks, the air buzzed with commerce. Here, platforms rose for the main event, auctions where lives hung on shouts and gestures. Cleaned up and posed to hide flaws, women faced crowds of buyers from near and far. Local chiefs, distant traders eyeing stock for Baghdad. Bids flew for those with talents. A healer's touch or weaver's skill could tip the scales over mere looks. Pregnancies? A bonus, pitched as future assets. The theater of it all masked the dread, with sellers hyping origins and potentials. High rollers snapped up the prized, while others went cheap to harsh fates. From these blocks, paths diverged, some to fields, others to halls where the real breaking began. In the grand homes of Viking lords, the facade of luxury hid deeper cuts. Stripped of old beliefs, forced to bow to new gods under threat, these women lost their cores. Renamed like pets, they served as symbols of conquest. Dressed fine one day, humbled the next. Availability was expected, no matter the toll, with moods swinging from rare kindness to raw fury. Beatings for slips, starvation for pushback, all while raising young that weren't truly theirs. The mind games twisted tight, dependency bred from isolation, making freedom a faded dream. For those from noble lines, it stung sharper, paraded, demeaned, their falls broadcast to shatter spirits far and wide. But this wasn't rogue cruelty. It underpinned a vast machine. Fueling it all was cold calculation, woven into Viking ways. Laws etched thralls as mere things, lendable, sellable, disposable. Courts handled squabbles over them like any ware, with fines for aiding flights, turning everyone watchful. Trade posts brimmed with gear, forges churning restraints, harbors rigged for unloading lives. Ledgers tallied every detail, ages, sources, values, turning agony into assets that banked raids and built empires. Up to a quarter of their world ran on this, with routes spanning seas to feed demands. Bones from digs whisper the cost, worn thin from toil, marked by unmet wounds. Yet in this grind, flickers of fight endured, shaping shadows we trace today. Amid the chains, some held on through quiet acts, hidden words of old faiths, stolen moments of aid. Escapes were rare, hunted by pros, but tales suggest a few slipped nets, seeding doubts. Generations later, DNA maps the reach. Markers from raided lands in Norse lines, proof of forced blends. Communities left scarred, gaps in families, drops in numbers, rippled for ages. Modern finds, like those 2025 graves, peel back layers, sparking talks on buried truths. Was it all for lack at home, or pure gain? Whispers linger, challenging glossy sagas. Looking back, this wasn't stray savagery, but a honed empire of exploitation, where women's woes built fortunes. From battlefield picks to market blocks, every step stripped more than flesh. It erased worlds. Today, as we sift through shackles and stories, it hits. Power's price often falls on the unseen. What if those echoes warn us still? Drop your thoughts. Has this shifted your view on old legends?